Hello everyone and welcome back to Process Movie Reviews, the show where I review stuff that's mostly pretty good and maybe one of the best movies of all time, or a film that absolutely sucks and should remain in the depths of hell. Now, last time we obviously discussed Spider-Man, released in 2002, and today we're going to be talking about the sequel that came out just only 2 years later, Spider-Man 2, released on June 30th of 2004 and directed again by Sam Raimi. Now, as I mentioned in the previous video, I used to along with the first Spider-Man movie, this was one of the only Marvel films that I watched. But obviously, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to at least appreciate them more. So obviously, going back to these films was going to be a seeing it from an older point of view now. And I'm just going to come out and say it. This film still holds up to this day. There is a reason why this is labeled as one of the best superhero movies ever made, and we'll get to that as the review goes on. So this was made with a budget of around $200 million domestically. It made about $373 million, and worldwide it made almost $790 million. So it did very good numbers for itself, and reviews at the time were obviously, exploding with joy, saying that this is one of, if not the best superhero movie ever made. And keep in mind, this was 4 years before we got, The Dark Knight, which is considered to be, again, one of the best superhero movies ever made. And they were already labeling this up to the point of, at the time, of like stuff like the original the original Superman the movie from 1978 or Batman from 1989. So, obviously going back and rewatching this had a lot to live up for. And like I said, obviously it does hold up very, very well. So, let's get on to the plot. So, when a failed nuclear fusion experiment results in an explosion that kills his wife, Dr. Otto Octavius, played by Alfred Molina, is transformed into Dr. Octopus, a cyborg with deadly metal tentacles. Doc Ock blames Spider-Man, played again by Tobey Maguire, for the accident and seeks revenge. Meanwhile, Spidey's alter ego, Peter Parker, faces fading powers and self-doubt. Complicating matters are his best friends. James Franco's hatred towards Spider-Man, and his true love, Mary Jane, played again by Kirsten Dunst, suddenly engaged to another man. So, yeah, this film kind of has a lot going for itself. It has, it has obviously, your good guy versus bad guy story, but then it has like a lot of undertones with, like, for example, Harry Osborn, played again by James Franco, trying to avenge his father's death because he thinks that Spider-Man killed him, which is another added kind of threat to Peter Parker, and Kirsten Dunst obviously having another man in her life, and obviously becoming engaged within within the same movie. So Peter's life is full of ups and downs, and at this point, and it just kind of it does get resolved at the end, but maybe not on the best of terms. But we'll get to that as the review goes on. So obviously we have my boy Tobey Maguire returning as Spider-Man and Peter Parker. Now there's a bit of, I wouldn't say controversy, but a bit of rumors going around about how he ended up returning to the role. So I think the most common story I've been able to find is that when he signed up for the first film, he did sign up for a 3-film contract. But when they were getting pre-production ready for this film, Maguire was shooting another film around the same time, and I kind of forget what the name was, but basically it was about him as like this famous horse rider, and that kind of had a major part in there where they were like, well, apparently he got injured during the shoot of that, so that kind of delayed things a bit for Spider-Man 2. His agent also wanted him to get a pay rise, which I don't know if that's true. Um, but I think overall I think that he did get a pay rise or an increased pay for this film, and um without all that uh kind of drama, I guess, if you want to call it, he's still very good in this role. I think even slightly better than how he did it in the first one. Um, because I think he has to deal with a lot more in this film than he had to deal in the first one. Whereas, like comparing, like in the first film, he just had to fight Green Goblin while also trying to like. That's not obviously. I think the biggest thing that happened to him besides, the death of sorry, besides the death of Norman Osborn, was that Uncle Ben died. Um, I mean, there's obviously character growth, but it's not like it's not major. Whereas in this film, like I said, he has to not only fight Otto Octavius, who blames him for the failed experiment. He has to face off against his best friend because he thinks that Spider-Man killed his father, and he has to deal with his love interest basically going off with another man. So there's a lot more with this film, I think, and it pulls it off well, I would say. Um, Obviously, as I mentioned, we have Mary Jane Watson, played by Kirsten Dunst. She's a bit better in this film than for me personally than I think in the first film, where she has a little bit more character. Obviously, with the fact that she's getting married, and she was like, she basically kind of tells Peter that you kind of don't you need to find what makes you don't need to rely on other things to kind of woo girls' interest. And spoilers, they she ultimately does find out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and there's some bullshit lines at the end that she says, like, "Oh, I knew the entire time." It's like, bullshit, you did. But yeah, we have the fantastic Alfred Molina as Dr. Otto Octavius. I think he's good. Kind of like Willem Dafoe in the first one. I think he's honestly the best part about this movie. The only thing though is that it's it's not as over the top as him in the first one, or as Willem Dafoe in the first one, I should say. But he's still the most trained actor in it. And I feel like that well, I should mention this, that the wife is played by I think she's played by the same actress that played the love interest for Captain Picard in Star Trek Insurrection, which just makes me go like, ugh. Because she's so bland in that movie that I'm like, oh fuck, she's in this one too, and then she gets killed off. I'm like, yay. I know that may sound like a dick thing to say, but watch Star Trek Insurrection and then start yelling to me in the comments, or try to at least. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, we have James Franco returning as Harry Osborn. He does very good in this role. But obviously returning as returning as Harry Osborn. Best part about this film returning is obviously J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. He's always fantastic in these films, and I'm kind of excited to see how they handle him in the Tom Holland stuff, because I know that I've seen No Way Home, and I see how he kind of is portrayed in that. But I'm excited to see how they portray him in Far From Home and Homecoming, if he's in any of those. And again, we have Rosemary Harris returning as Aunt May. again, she's very good in it as like kind of like the soft spoken mother, like mother figure for Peter. Um, and yeah, there is one scene that I can remember where I think it's the scene where Peter actually reveals to Aunt May that he is Spider-Man, and her acting is like so good, where she's like confused but like kind of happy, but then like angry at the same time. She conveys it very very well. We have a little bit of a cameo with Willem Dafoe returning as Green Goblin, but only in like I think one scene. And I actually have a fun fact about him, and I guess I'll just discuss this now. Was that Willem Dafoe wasn't originally supposed to be in the film? He was actually supposed to be just completely written out. But Willem Dafoe walked by, or Willem Dafoe saw the crew working on the film when he was walking to his home one day, and he decided that he wanted to be sorry he decided that he was gonna he's gonna go up and say hi, and they were like, well, do you want a little bit of a cameo in the film? And he was like, sure. So they kind of like wrote his lines in the day of, and there he is. And unfortunately, I think this is the last time that he does appear in a Spider-Man movie, because I don't think he appears in 3 at all, which is kind of unfortunate. But then he'll obviously pop up in a future film that I'll discuss. And of course, again, being a Sam Raimi film, I obviously can't go talking about the cast and not mention Bruce Campbell in his cameo role. In this film, he plays the snooty usher. I don't think he's as good in this as he was in the as the ring announcer in the first one, but he's still very funny in this. I can at least admit. So yeah. I guess let's talk about favorite scenes. I mean, you can't really go on talking about favorite scenes in this film without mentioning the train fight, which is, one of the best parts about the film, and honestly, one of the best scenes in all the Raimi films. It's so, like, fast-paced and, so action-oriented that you're just like, fuck yeah. And I actually have a fun fact about that one, too, going over it. The train fight between Spider-Man and Doc Ock was actually an idea that Sam Raimi had, and he put into the script, and it was actually the first thing that they shot for the film, which is, I was actually a bit surprised by that. I'm like, like, really? That was the first thing that they shot for it? But I'm sorry for yawning so much. I literally don't know why. This happens usually when I start recording shit. I just start, I'm a slightly bit tired. I just go. Um, um, but I guess to if I had to pick one other scene to choose as my favorite, it has to be the scene where Peter realizes that he's like, okay, in order to get my powers back, I have to do something. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna start just be Peter. I'm gonna be myself. And so he starts doing all this stuff, and then all of a sudden, fucking raindrops are falling on my head. And I'm like, the fuck? And I'm just laughing throughout all of it. And I'm just like, okay. Because it's like him trying to kind of like do stuff to be like either be himself or just trying to kind of be Spider-Man again, and yet you have this like happy little like jingle going on there, just like raindrops are falling on my head, and I'm like, what movie did I just step into? I thought I was watching a Spider-Man movie, but little did I know I was actually walking to a comedy, like a full-fledged like Adam Sandler comedy. Damn it. I guess one other thing to mention, one other favorite scene that I have is when he returns back to his apartment after he gets fired from the pizza place, and he has this check that he has. Um, and he returns to his apartment building, and the owner kind of takes it, and he's like, like, yeah, this is your rent, and he gives us like his this little line, and he goes like the fuck was that? Like, if I could pop it up, I would, but like, if you guys have seen the movie, then you know what I'm talking about. Actually, I could probably pop it up on my phone, but like that image of his face just became like meme status. That it was like what the fuck. Um. Yeah, hmm. I guess while I'm looking this up, I think that the action throughout the film is certainly improved over the first film. It's certainly a Oh, here we go. I found it. Um, there, there you go. There you go. Meme status right there, folks. That's how you do it. Um, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, I think the action in this film is overall better than the first one. Whereas, in the first film, that the action in it is kind of hindered by the fact that it was shot in 1:5:1. So you're kind of hindering the action a bit. Whereas in the second film, they filmed on a CinemaScope. Obviously, widescreen with like the black bars on the top and the bottom. Which means you have a lot more dynamic action in it. And I think this, as far as I know, I think this is the Spider-Man one is actually the only Spider-Man film in the franchise that be shot in the 1:5:1 aspect ratio. All the other ones were shot in CinemaScope. Um, but for example, like when they do the train fight, it's so much grander than, like, for example, like the balloon fight or the festival fight in the first one. Whereas that one, it just seems like it was like too kind of close up to to really comprehend like what's going on. Whereas in this film, it's like you can notice, everything's on screen. Everything doesn't seem like it's covered or anything like blocked and shot, and it's all choreographed very well. So you can see pretty much everything, and it's very, very well. Um, and of course, I have to talk about the score. It's done by Danny Elfman again with I believe some. Hey, let me look at this. Oh, does it not actually mention on here? Oh, no, no. Okay, so it just says that it was mostly done by Danny Elfman, which is true. But there was another composer that did some new pieces for the film as well. I think maybe he did the theme for Doc Ock and stuff like that. Although that could be also Danny Elfman. Um, but the score overall, I think, is pretty good. I think I would put this on par with the first one. Um, but yeah. Um, but yeah. I know this may be a bit of a shorter review. But honestly, it's like it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, for example, obviously not on the same kind of perspective, but like it's kind of like the same thing when I'm talking about like with when I'm reviewing a really bad movie, where I'm like, it's like it's kind of hard to start talking about things where like to an in-depth level because I'm just gonna be praising it over and over again, where you know unless I'm talking about the film through like the actual like plot points throughout, and it's kind of difficult from that standard where it's like unless it's like a drama where you can easily do that. With superhero movies, you're kind of just more there for the ride. You don't really pay attention that much to the story. It's more just like, oh, Spider-Man's the good guy, Ock is the bad guy, and then there's some characters in between, but it's mostly just them two fighting. Whereas obviously with the drama, you get more kind of you can get more into depth with it. But it's like with this, it's like the film is amazing. Although I should mention that yes, I have seen both the theatrical cut and the extended cut, which honestly I don't know if you could call the extended cut a director's cut. But yeah, I think the director's cut is officially named like Spider-Man 2.1, I think. And oh yeah, I should show. So this is the technically the version I have is the 2017 release with the slipcover, but the Blu-ray itself is from 2012. So it kind of has like the same kind of thing as the first one with like the inner artwork, which honestly that looks badass. But this does include both versions of the film. Now, which one do I prefer? It's kind of hard for me to say because I think the extended cut is mostly just more lines of dialogue. So it doesn't really add anything really to the plot, except for the ones where it's J. Jonah Jameson in the Spider-Man costume. But yeah, so I think I'm just gonna say that I think that the theatrical cut is better because, like I said, I think the extended cut is just more dialogue than anything else. But yeah, but overall, I think that so yeah, final thoughts on Spider-Man 2. It's a fantastic superhero movie that I feel like everyone should watch at least. Go from Spider-Man to Spider-Man 2, and then you should be good from there. You really can just avoid Spider-Man 3, but if you need to watch it, I think that overall, I just think that Spider-Man 3 is pretty unnecessary to watch. But, obviously I have to review it for myself, so I honestly have to watch it. But overall, I think that, Spider-Man 2 is a very good superhero movie. Obviously better than Spider-Man 1. Is it as good as, some of the other, superhero movies that are out there, like Superman the movie, Batman 89, or even some of the most recent stuff like The Batman and stuff like that? I don't personally think so, but that does not mean that this is a bad movie just because it's not as good as those ones. Absolutely not. This is still a fantastic movie, and obviously it does have problems, but it's like one of those things where it's like it has problems, but I can easily overlook them. So I'm easily gonna give this film an A+. It's a fantastic movie, and I really do think that everyone should watch it at least once in their lives. But obviously you should watch it more than just once. It's it's prime quality material that you should watch. So yeah, guys, that was my review on Spider-Man 2. I know that was a little bit shorter for me usually, but like I said, it's kind of difficult for me to talk in depth about this film because it's just gonna be going, oh my god, it's so good, it's so great, it's so awesome, and it's just like that's gonna get repetitive after a while. So you already know the gist. This film is absolutely fucking fantastic. Go and watch it. It's amazing. If you can find the Blu-ray, that's great, but it should be available on I think it's at the time of this recording, it's currently up on Netflix, but I think you only have until the 31st of January to watch it. But it is available on Hulu, and I don't think it's going to be leaving Hulu anytime soon. So, yeah. But, yeah, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like this sort of content, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon to get notified when future videos are coming out. Before we get to the end card, I do want to mention, thank you guys so much for getting my channel finally up to 150 subscribers. I know I'm a bit late on that. I technically hit that last Friday, and I haven't made any post about it. That was because I was afraid that what happened when I hit 100 subs would happen again. And that was, if you guys didn't remember, I made a video saying, oh, thank you for getting my channel up to 100 subs. And then, of course, there had to be some jackass that had to unsubscribe from my channel and then start kind of ticking it down. So it was a while before I managed to get back up to 100 and actually surpass it. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for getting my channel up to 150. What is my new goal now? Well, I think that my goal now is to try and hit 200 subs by the start of summer. of this year. If we could do that, that would mean the world to me so much. So yeah, new sub goal, 200 subs by summer 2023. I believe we can do it. But yeah, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon to get notified when future videos are coming out. If you like this sort of content, you can also click over here, I think, to click on my profile picture. Or obviously click down on my username down there to check out my channel. You can also click one of these two videos on the right side right here to check out some of the latest videos I made. And yeah, also follow me on my social media pages, my Instagram, my Facebook, my Twitter. If you want to get notified, if you guys want to know my opinions on the film before I do the review on them, follow me on my Letterboxd page. Also follow me on my Twitch page because I usually do some live streaming once in a while since YouTube fucking hates me and it doesn't want me to live stream until I hit 1,000 subs. And if you want to support my channel with that little bit extra more, you could go onto my Throne page and possibly purchase a gift. Again, like I always say, it's not mandatory, but if you want to support my channel with that little bit extra more and want to get your name shouted out at the end of a video, go ahead and do that. But if you are going to buy a gift, then let me know instead of at least let me know that you ordered a gift for me so that I know in advance when a package comes in, instead of me just randomly getting something and I'm like, oh, what's this? And then it's like, oh, so it's this from this person. So if you guys are going to do that, at least let me know through my Discord or through my my Discord server, which I also have a link down in the description below for. But yeah, just let me know if you're going to buy a gift so that I'm not like freaking out saying, what the fuck is this package for? But yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's about it. So anyway, guys, stay tuned next week for my review of Spider-Man 3. And this is where we're going to start going down the shitter. Oh boy. So yeah, guys, stay tuned next week for my review of Spider-Man 3 from 2007. Live long and prosper. Out.